know about relationships, but you're wrong. Listen, there's no magic bullet. I'm teaching life skills.
When you sick, you need medicine. It don't always taste good, but it'll get you better. You need this medicine. It ain't gonna always taste good, but this is what you need. Men and women, bottom line, we need to have the conversation. Your partner wants to give up control, but only if you know how to drive. This is about being the best you could ever be, whoever you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, space alien. I'll save anybody. I don't care. I'll teach a hedgehog how to have a threesome.
What do you mean by that?
Look, you don't have to listen to me, but you're wrong.
Listen, I know I'm great. And I know you're thinking, Dante, there's no way I could be like you. But you could be me, you know why?
Because you know who I was? Before I was me, I was you.
Man, score 202.
Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't.
Yo, GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolutions being podcasted, and I am exponentially excited. Just trying to get it together. Phone lines is up. Sounds good. If y'all got me and I sound good, give me a thumbs up in the comments, please. Give me a thumbs up.
You think you know.
What up, family? How y'all doing? It's good to be here. Good to be back, going live. Just trying to talk to y'all one more time. I'm actually heading out to the UK very soon. So look for that. Just wanted to holler at everybody, do a live. I probably won't be doing a live on Thursday because I'll be rolling and traveling. But thank y'all, man. Thanks for the support. Had a great show last week, man. I really felt like we helped a lot of people. One of y'all sent me, first and foremost, I didn't even check the comments. Let me shout out to everybody. BAP was popping. Let me go. Ahmed, what up? Carl Valson, what's going on? 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Wolf's Lair, what's going on? Diogenes Bean, I think that's it. Robert Spindletree, shout out to you. Let's see, Justin 747 was popping. Brad M, what up, my dude? Carl, what's going on? Thank y'all for the thumbs up, letting me know that the sound is good and we ready to go. People still coming in. Just happy to be here, man. I'm in a good mood. Looking forward to helping some people, talking about stuff. Some of the things we wanted to talk about is it's an interesting thing, and is something that I always say that it never gets better. And I don't mean that by life or anything, but what I mean by that is when I say it never gets better, what I mean is if you leave things as it is, very rarely is it a situation where it gets better. So if you're in a relationship and the relationship is disrespectful, if you have a precedence, yes, I am, Tony. Yes, I am. Hit me on the gram. If you have a situation, here's how I learn. A lot of the things that I've learned and the stuff that I've been able to pass on to y'all is stuff that I've experienced on my own. And what I mean by that, here's the number. The number's up to, y'all know what it is, 929-269-4922. Telephone lines are open. Just want to say it's a lot of things that I've learned and the stuff that I pass on is just through my own personal experience is whenever you're doing stand-up, you're on stage and somebody starts to heckle, right? I mean, you don't always jump out the window, but usually when somebody is blatantly disrespectful or they're not respecting of the show, it doesn't get better unless we speak up. There's never a situation where when we don't speak up, the situation is better than when we do. Because at least even if we speak up and we're mistaken, we can always apologize. We can always say, oh, I thought this was the case. This is not the case. And thank you for clarifying it. When we sit back and we're sitting back waiting to see what somebody else is happening, meantime, we're going through this discomfort where wouldn't it just be easier to ask? What do you mean by that? What does that mean? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about me? And what I find more so than anything is the reason why people don't speak up is because they're afraid to. They're afraid of what the consequences are. They're afraid what the outcome is. Usually they have something at stake, and because they have something at stake, they don't want to jeopardize their possibility to fix that. Hold on, we got a call. Let's get into this. Let's see.
Voicemail.
Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Dante? It's Xavier. I'm calling from California.
What's up, Zabe? How you doing? Give me 1 second. I got to give a big shout out to Shaheed Campbell. Thank you for the $40 cash app. What's going on, Zabe? How can I help you, bro?
No, I just want to give you a shout out. When you say never let anyone define you, because it'll soon enough.
Right.
It won't be long till they try to say you ain't shit.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that. And I just want to thank you because the work that I do, I interact with so many people, and again, it's just taking inventory of who I am. Like bulletproof, man. Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
You're welcome. Did something happen where that kind of came into play, or what?
Yeah. No, a lot of situations. So, a lot of people. So I'm part of a union. And so we have conflicts with management, and a lot of the times management will say like, "Hey, you're this, you're that," and I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Right.
Whereas like before your work, I would have been like, "Really? Am I? Huh?"
Well, I mean, the way that you're able to deal with that in a positive way also is the fact that you're constantly taking stock of who you are. So nobody can define you if you've already defined you. If you've already went through your own life with a fine-tooth comb, you are then in a situation where nobody knows more about you than anybody else. And so their criticism, now don't get me wrong, there's always a possibility that you have a blind spot, it's something that you didn't really see. But if you're constantly taking the executive position on how you are as a person with an intentful way, I think that it's hard to get something past you that you haven't already thought about. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying when somebody criticizes me, I'll go, really? Is that what you think? And then I go through the checklist in my head. What could I have done that would make you perceive me that way? And then if there's no there, then I'll ask them, well, what makes you think that? And usually what it usually ends up being is that I'm not doing what you want me to do. And
pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, Xavier. I appreciate you calling. Thanks, man.
All right,
keep listening, bro.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to take big shout out to Shaheed, starting off with the Cash App early. Boom bap, boom bap. That's what I'm talking about, credibility like that. You think I'm helping you? You don't even wait till the show. The show hadn't been on for 30 seconds, and Shaheed had already sent the Cash App. That's what's up. Thank you. Give us some money. But phone lines are open. 929-269-4922. I definitely think that I want to say that following these principles and moving forward, it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. What do I mean by that? It's very simple principles, but it takes a lot more energy and practice to proceed with your life in that way, because it's not something that most people do, or most people consider to do, or most people are faking it anyway. And because they're faking it, when the truth comes, they're not really looking for the truth in the first place. People wanna not always look at themselves because it's a scary thing. What's your name? Where you calling from, bro?
What's up, man? It's Daryl from Rhode Island.
What's up, Daryl? What's going on? How can I help you, brother?
Man, I got a question about decisiveness or decisions in a world where you have like so many options, where kind of once you get something, you start thinking about the next thing that could work in relationship. Like if you get married, you know, and then you're like, shit, that means I can't have, you know, any other, you know, this is it. You know, like this is what I signed up for, or a career.
Okay,
you know,
let me ask you this: are you saying how do you make those decisions, or what do you? What I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, like think of it like if like a career, you choose one.
Hold on,
you know,
Daryl. Give me real quick. Hold on. I want to give a shout out to No Bap. Thank you, No Bap, for the $10. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm sorry, Daryl. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no worries, man. So, like, what you do, there's so many options. You can become like an archaeologist. You can become a surgeon, or marketing. You can become like a firefighter. Right. You know, like all these things. There's so much like fun stuff to do.
Right.
You know, and there's also so many women out there too. Like for example,
sure.
So it's really, and then like. You pick one, and then it's like, you know, it's just kind of getting rid of that and being decisive and kind of crafting and carving your own life that you feel good with, you know?
Right, but are you saying because, hold on one sec, big shout out to Xavier. Thank you for the $5 cash app. I appreciate you. Are you saying because there's so many options you don't know how to pick, or what do you?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but there's the scariest thing and the greatest thing that I ever realized in the course of my life is, number one, that I can do whatever I want to do, right? Number two is that whatever I don't have, whatever I haven't pursued is my fault. Because if I had access to these things and I didn't make I didn't make an effort or wasn't willing to make the sacrifice, and I don't have something that I want, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, think about this. So many people in this world that are in a situation where they don't even feel as though they have options, you know? And so what you're complaining about is a great thing to have to complain about. That you have all these options and you don't know which to pick. If you're asking me how do you go about picking those things, it's something that I talk about all the time, is that you got to have these inner conversations with yourself. And part of when we talk about ACE and authenticity, the authenticity is just not outward. The authenticity is also, there has to be an inward authenticity. You got to be honest about yourself. For instance, let's say a girl is dating a guy and the guy is cheating on her. And she says, part of my non-negotiables is that I'm not going to let nobody cheat on me. If I have somebody who cheats on me, if you have somebody who is a serial cheater, right? And you're a woman or a man or whatever, and you allow it, right? Then you're not being honest about what your non-negotiables are. Do you understand? So understanding that, like you have to, if your response is that you're so afraid to move on from a relationship, then you have to assume that what you perceived as your non-negotiables is not your non-negotiables, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it might come down to like a fear of commitment, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not even going through that. I'm talking about the person who's receiving this, who you have an agreement with, and then they're receiving the fact that somebody promised fidelity and then it didn't pan, and then they decided to do what they want to do. But that's just that really is my expression about the honesty that you got to have about yourself. And if you're still in a relationship and your chick keeps running out on you, your man keeps running out on you, then you have to calibrate what you think is your non-negotiables. What I'm saying is being able to have that inner dialogue between yourself is just as important as making the choices and being decisive about whatever decision or whatever direction you want to go into. Like if you want,
it makes sense.
I wanted to be at one time I wanted to be a veterinarian, right? And then when I went into college and I started looking at the amount of years, amount of schooling that it would take, the amount of money that it would take me to do that, right? I was not willing to do that. I wasn't willing to dedicate that kind of time. I wasn't willing to go. I wanted to party. I was running after skirts. And I had to be honest with myself that I just really wasn't going to do that. And so
you weren't good at it.
Right, but it was more about me being honest with myself about what I was, not just what I was capable of, but what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? Like it's easy to say, oh, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or I want to do this, I want to, right? There's only a certain amount of time in the day, and you got to wonder if you like doing it, that you're going to be able to do it when you don't want to. Are you interested enough to show up even when you don't want to show up?
Yeah, because I've had that thing in relationships where it's like, okay, by the time we're locked in, the girl is head over heels. You know, I've been married before, and then it's just like we kind of get to that point.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, you know, you start sacrificing, and then you know the compromising and all that stuff, and then it turns out you're like, is this really what I wanted? And then
or are you just on this life? Are you just on this path that the next step is marriage, or the next step is relationship, or the next step? You got to be honest with yourself, and if you're not willing to make those, especially when you're talking about bringing children into it, right? If you don't have the commitment for that, it's just really unfair. I mean, when I was a kid, man, I loved dogs. Man, I always want a puppy, but the question is, do I want a puppy? Do I want to walk a dog at 5, 6 in the morning when he's got to go to the bathroom? And when I'm traveling all over the country or all over the world doing whatever I'm doing, am I ready to take care of? I'm going to have to put him put a dog in a kennel. And to the same token, if I'm saying to myself, if I'm making a commitment and I'm giving a woman my word that this is what I'm going to do, then I have to recognize what that entails instead of frivolously, you know, I mean, we see this all the time where a little boy wants a puppy, he gets the puppy and then he don't walk the dog, right? Then the father comes home and says, look, if you don't walk this dog, I'm gonna get rid of it. And then all of a sudden, no, don't get rid of my dog, please. But the reality is you don't want to do the work. You don't want to do right. You don't want to do what it takes to do it.
You want the wedding, but not the marriage.
Exactly.
You know, another.
Exactly. So even when you're making these choices about what it is you actually supposedly want, you got to be honest about it. Are you willing to? What does it take? What does it entail? Do I really like this enough to stick? Am I going to like this 3, 4, 5 years from now? I mean, I know I have a young lady I used to date. She went to medical school, right? Wanted to be a doctor. But didn't like the couldn't stand the sight of blood. I mean, just if we're not honest with ourselves on a base level, just what a base level is what it is, and we're living in this kind of fantasy, then we don't ever really find that kind of happiness. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's like if you know I want to go for my pilot license, right, and then it's like, all right, am I ready to take all the sacrifices? Because to live on this earth for me and not know how to fly a plane. It sounds like an insane Like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
But you also gotta. I have my stepdaughter from my first wife. She's a commercial pilot, and that's a lot of hours you gotta put. You gotta put in a lot of hours, and even after you put a lot of hours with like a small engine plane or something, I mean, do you want to do commercial or do you know what I'm saying? There's these questions, but I think if you ask these questions and then you really kind of move with intention, the answers are there. You know what you're gonna do, and you know what you're not gonna do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll walk through to do like an exercise and kind of walk myself through to make some good moves coming up. You know.
Yeah, and if you need me to help you go through it, you know how to get me. You know, just hit me one-on-one consultation, my G. Just go to DanteNero.com and click on consult, bro. I'm always here to help.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Have a good time in the UK.
Thanks for calling up, D. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Peace.
Phone lines are open. Yeah, phone lines are open. Let me put the number up one more time. Yeah. Did I shout out? Yeah, I think I did. Shout it out. Shout out. Oh, what up, Jonathan? What's going on, baby? Thank you for the $20. I appreciate you. Y'all coming through for me like I knew you would. $20 from Jonathan. Thank you. On the Cash App. Y'all are the best that ever did it. Man, I think there's a, let me just I want to go into something also. I just ran across this video clip. One of y'all sent me a video clip of this guy Wes Weston, this ex-con dude who's now paying guys are paying him thousands of dollars to yell at him so he could yell at them and tell them that they ain't shit and they're not working no hard. They don't have the Bugatti. They don't have a Bugatti. They don't have $1 million house. It's what's interesting about this. It's a clip that what do you call it? Fresh and Fit had a bunch of guys who I guess were different guys, content creators, all male content creators, and basically this dude is an ex-con who literally, if you look at his early content and you look at what he's now, and I guess he's made a lot of money because he's just conned people by yelling at them and telling them that they need to be the best at everything, and it's just an absurdness in the way. But what I also realize is that sometimes people have been through so much trauma that they're looking for somebody to treat them like trash. People are looking for a mentor that's going to yell at them more. And this becomes what they're made, what the way they're raised and how they are motivated. They're motivated by this negative energy, which is really, really weird to me, because I think it says something specifically about who you are and how you were raised and how you perceive your particular growth as a human being. Let me get this. So I was watching this. I'll get back to it in a second. As soon as I get past this call. Bum, bum, bum. Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's James. I'm calling from Kansas.
What's up, James? How are you, brother?
Not too bad. I booked a consultation with you about, I'd say, 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Great to talk to you again.
Man, great. How did it go? I mean, I do so many. I'm quite sure as you give me the little bits and pieces, I'll remember. But how did the advice go? How did the consultation go? What you think? And what was the outcome?
I got by a Latina girl, and you kind of helped me.
Okay.
See that I needed to straighten up a little bit. You gave me some reality and told me to go lay the bricks, and I've been doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I feel great, man.
Yeah. It's a life changer, man.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with one of my old coworkers. This lady I used to work with, I just smashed and got on my got on YouTube and I saw you were on. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anything going on?
I'm
Anything I
feeling
can help
great.
you with?
I just wanted to give you your flowers, man. You've helped me turn it around. I was really feeling bad about myself for a little bit, and then you were like, you basically just smacked me in the mouth, and you were like, hey, get right, dude. And I was like, all right, I got you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what you got to understand. I think you have to understand. Sometimes you get into this rut and you start to fool yourself into thinking that things are more important than they are, and we start to romanticize about people because and I'm not to say. I mean, I don't know either way. Maybe it was amazing at one time, but usually by the time that the relationship is falling apart, or it's never as good as we remember it to be in the first place, if that makes sense, you know.
Complete sense.
And when you lay the 5 bricks, what it does, it keeps you social, it keeps you active, and it just, things just start to roll off your back because you are social, you're interacting with people. And I also think there's something to that, just us being human beings and being wanting companionship and humanity and in touch with each other. And so it just makes you feel so much better. I'm glad I could help you, Jonathan. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
See you, man.
Yeah, I mean, we pick them up and we set up the pins and I knock them down. I mean, a lot of times I think that we get into a situation where we think things are so overwhelming because it feels so overwhelming. This is a weird thing. When I was a little kid, I had a really hard time learning how to tie my shoes. Real quick. Shout out to Jonathan. Thank you for the $20. I appreciate it on the Cash App. Thank you, Jonathan. Where's my horn? Carlos, also thank you for the $15. Carlos, thank you for the $15. I appreciate y'all supporting me, man. I'm really trying to make this content the best content that I could possibly do, and I feel like I'm really genuine. I really genuinely want to help people, and I feel like anytime I do consultations with people, so on and so forth, I think they feel that. I think they feel that I'm genuinely, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? If you doing some some bullshit, I'm gonna call you out on it. But I mean, I'm also gonna give you a way in which you can come back. You know, some of the things I say all the time, the greatest thing in the world about being a sucker is tomorrow you don't have to be. So there's always a way back, and unless you give up, or unless you don't want to, or you don't care. But yeah, I think this dude's name is Weston, meathead, musclehead dude who went in prison, came out, and he was creating this content initially about, doing prison stories. And then all of a sudden he became this, I guess he made money or whatever, some kind of online courses or something that he was doing. And man, I wish I could bring it up. I wonder if I can bring it up. Let me see if I can bring it up. God damn it. Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, you know what? I'm not even gonna do that now because the phone lines are open. 929-269-4922. It's a weird, odd thing when I watch this nonsense that's obviously trash. Like, people's whole perspective are obviously they're just talking trash, and you could tell because it's inconsistent. Number one, it's inconsistent because a lot of times people want to define what your happiness, and this kind of over materialism of this idea of over material, like everything, your whole life and your whole your happiness is these material things. Don't get me wrong. I mean, money is always great. You want money, but you have to, you just getting money in the context of yeah, it's Wes Watson. That's the dude. Just getting money in the context of nothing else. It really is not. It's really an empty. There's an empty kind of understanding. There's an empty kind of result you get from that. Because and don't get me wrong, I'm not. I'm not in a situation where you can define your happiness the way that you perceive it to be. Um, yeah, here it is. Let me see if I can bring this up. Uh, I'm hoping I'm trying something new, y'all. So, if I get a call, I will definitely um, I will definitely pause this to get the hold uh, hold on. Let's see if it'll come up. All right, yeah, this was the clip. Yeah, we're gonna move forward. There guys nobody. Let's see. This is always a weird, kind of interesting. Okay, this is this dude with his. Yeah, this dude. You know what? I'm not even gonna play this dude because it's just too much cursing for me. It's just, yeah, we're not gonna do this. Yeah, this is a bit much. But yeah, what's also interesting about this, just the simple fact of the way this guy is uh is talking to people. Come on. Uh, uh, yeah. So what's interesting about these charlatans and these dudes who are trying to give you advice is they're trying to divine what your happiness is. And I just think that it's a really arrogant thing to try and take somebody's life and define what the happiness. Anytime I do a consultation, anytime I meet with somebody, anytime we do I always ask if you're listening to me and we do a call, I asked you what is your question? How can I help you? What is your outcome? And then we flush it out from there because it is not for me to decide what your happiness. It is you who has to decide what your happiness. I have counseled dudes who have said to me, yo, I want to be polyamorous. I want to have 2, 3 chicks. I want them to know about it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all of that sounds good until you gotta actually do that. And then you gotta be in 3 separate relationships, monitoring each separate relationships, and you have to be the backbone of 3 separate relationships as you have to go to work, as you have to pursue your own success or whatever your endeavors are, family members, friends, and everything else. It's just not as easy as you think you are. And the only way to do it and still maintain it as per se you say that this is what you want is it takes a lot of work. Anything worth something is worth a just sacrifice. There's no shortcut to anything. There is no and not only that, but if there is no shortcut, even when you're working at something and you're very how should I be intentful about what direction you want to go into, sometimes you make a mistake about what you're asking for. It's like, I don't know if you ever seen like you see a film and a guy rubs on Aladdin's lamp and then they make a, like, it's like the jinn. Like you make a wish, and then the wish itself has all these other things that are attached to it that you never even thought about because all you're thinking about is the final outcome. I've said this 100 times. Life is like music. It's a journey. It is a journey between notes and spaces between notes, highs and lows, silence and noise. And if we understand that it's about the journey, it's about the experience, it's really not about the finish line. You have to learn to enjoy your life, because if you've been miserable your whole life, or you're pursuing something that's you're miserable about, and then you achieve that goal, if it's not what you want, you got a huge problem. That's the first thing. Secondly, if you've been miserable in the pursuit of whatever your goal is, right? It may not be worth it. It could literally not be worth it to you. So I think as we're transitioning through our lives, we can also change what we think is happening, how we perceive relationships, how we see business, how we see family members, and we can find a way that we can find true happiness. And based on the circumstances and the variables present, it can change. You can say, this is what I want. And then as you're exploring these things, right, you can say, wait a minute, I didn't think about this. There's always dimensions to this that you didn't think about. You try to do as much as you can sort of research on it, but ultimately you can't play basketball until you get on that court and you miss some shots. You got to make mistakes. You got to put yourself out there and you got to make mistakes, but you also got to be willing to work. If you're not willing to work, trust me, you're just not going to, it will stay the same. I can't tell you how many times, and well, let me back up. You also don't want to be part of somebody else's plan. I can't tell you how many times I've done consultations where I've had guys who have been with like what we would consider real type A personality women, really successful. I want to be married by the time I'm 31. I want to have my first kid by the time I'm 32. I want to have my second kid by the time I'm 33. I want to move to this place. I just counseled a guy like that where this woman was in her, she had a plan about her life, and this particular guy was just a placeholder. Like, where it said, I need to be married, we need a husband, right? You could have popped anybody in that spot. Like it really wasn't special to her who was in that spot, as long as these things, long as this timetable that she created is fulfilled. And the first thing you notice is that she's not happy. You find this a lot of times with immigrant parents, especially women that come from immigrant parents that are very, very strict about the timetable of what's going to happen. You don't want to get caught up in that, because the consideration is not you. You are just one of the pieces on the puzzle on the chessboard being moved around. And I've counseled dudes who literally have picked up and moved to different countries. Let's get married and move to different countries. But what you're ultimately doing is you're making these adjustments. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm fine with you making those adjustments if it's the adjustments that you want to make. When I've said this 100 times, compromise in a relationship means that neither party gets what they want. Both parties get a portion of what they want, but nobody's completely happy about any of it. That's what compromise means. And when you come together in a relationship, that's what it means. It means that you ain't gonna you're gonna do things you never wanted to do. You're gonna go places you never want to go to. You're gonna have to listen to nonsense that you don't want to listen. You're gonna have to meet people that you don't want to meet, and you're gonna have to make that compromise. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be in a relationship, you shouldn't be in a marriage, you should. There's benefits and trade-offs, but you got to be honest about whether those trade-offs and those benefits are worth it to you. And just because you're in the mode, like you find a lot of times women, want the wedding, don't want the marriage, and then what happens is they're just marching along because this is what they were taught to do, and they get to the end of it and they realize that this is not what made them happy in the first place. And to be clear, to be clear, and I'm not being disrespectful. I want you to understand I'm not being disrespectful to immigrants and people who have these strict cultural cores, right? But what I am saying is your parents made their decisions for their life. They didn't ask you what you thought or what you didn't think, what you approved of, or what you cannot, as an adult, you cannot let your parents dictate the decisions that you make and what makes you happy. Most of the time, whole idea of what self-actualization and happiness is a new concept. It's a whole new concept in the last decade, where people go to therapy and they try to fix their trauma and stuff. But what happens is if we grow up with a strong family core, or a core of how we perceive our family or how things should work out, man, we're listening to people who have not even been able to make their own self happy. They're not happy in their own relationships. They're not happy in their own lives. And yet and still they're dictating to you what you should do and what you shouldn't do and how you should do it. It's really absurd. And they're 50, 60, 70 years old, still controlling your life, when most of the time they haven't done what they wanted to do. Don't get me wrong. Look, if you got a mother and father who are blissfully happy and understand what their happiness, and they compromise, that's far and few between. You very rarely find people who are self-aware to that degree where they're able to achieve that to any degree. Big shout out to Bobby. Bobby, thank you for the $40 on the Cash App. Thank you, brother. Wait a minute. Thank you. Phone line is up, 929-269-4922. I want to talk about this whole thing. The loudest person doesn't make you the smartest. I was listening to this guy, Wes Watson, and I'm listening to his content because we're in the same field, I guess, directly or indirectly. And here's a guy in one interview. The guy is literally talking about how he's empty and broken and nothing matters. And in the next breath, he's talking about his Bugatti and his Benz and his Rolls. It's just absurd. I mean, there's this level of absurdity where people when are we if we have learned anything about this whole Diddy thing, is money don't buy the happiness. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't have money. I think you should have money. You should have money to be able to give you, because money gives you choices. But if you're not self-aware enough to make decisions, and really flush out reasoning and logic in the decisions that you make, even if you succeed, which is difficult to succeed if you're not self-aware and you don't know what decisions to make. But even if you succeed, you're going to be unhappy when you get there. And then you've wasted all this time and energy, and you're looking at another. I can't tell you how many times I have done consultations, asked the guy, he's telling me, yo, my girl, she broke up with me, blah, 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 blah. We're going through, well, do you love her? Yeah, you love her. Tell me how you love her. And they can't articulate why this woman, who is being disrespectful or unavailable or selfish or whatever, they can't even tell me why they love this woman. Then I ask them, well, what's your favorite basketball team? And they'll say Golden State. And then I ask them, why do you like Golden State? And just all I got to do is act like I don't agree. And they will list, well, I love Steph Curry. I love how they play as a team. I love this. I think they got blah, blah, blah. And they can list 100 different reasons why Golden State is their favorite basketball team. But they can't list one reason. What do you love about your woman? What do you love about your girl? What do you love from a woman's perspective? What do you love about your dude? Because this is what we're doing, is we're thinking, we are thinking in the context, we're mimicking what we perceive as happiness in. Phone lines is up, 929-269-4922. I'm loving the direction that we're going. I'm loving the fans, because I just want to say, man, I appreciate y'all. Y'all allow me to do this. Y'all allow me to sustain myself while I'm doing it. And with all the donations and stuff in the Patreon, don't forget the Patreon and all that. Let me go through the comments. I'm only going 1,000. I'm feeling good. 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I'm feeling good. Wagwan. Everything good. Francisco, thank you so much for the super chat. $9.99. Thank you. Any crippling advice? Any advice for crippling anxiety? Laying the 5 bricks. Yes. If you are laying the bricks and you have this high level of anxiety, right? Understand that is what it's supposed to be. Understand this. That is exactly what it's supposed. You're supposed to feel the anxiety. Thank you, Francisco. You're supposed to feel the anxiety. That's the whole purpose of laying the 5 bricks. Understand something, and I've said this. There's a lot of themes that you're gonna hear me say over again. Bravery only exists when fear is present. If you're not afraid, then you executing some activity is not that. That's not being brave. It's bravery. Bravery happens when fear is present and you react despite the fear. So what I would say, Francisco, the real point is just to continue. I promise you, and I don't give my word, I promise you, if you continue to do this with the consistency, and I don't mean lay 3 bricks and 2 today and 1, if you do 5 a day every day, I guarantee you that eventually the anxiety will go away. There's just no way it cannot. There's no way, because the more you do it, the more familiar you become doing it, and the more familiar you become, the anxiety it starts to dissipate. Understand this as well. The anxiety. Let's talk about the anxiety when we're talking about laying the 5 bricks. The anxiety comes from what? The fear is the fact that you are afraid that you're gonna lay a brick and then this chick is gonna spaz out. Now, anybody in the and I'm asking this to the chat, so put this in the chat. Anybody who's looking at the chat, if anybody has laid the bricks, there has never been a situation where what your expectation was in terms of the disaster that would happen if you laid the bricks never panned out the way it actually turned out. What I'm saying is, whatever your worst case scenario was while you're laying the 5 bricks never happened. It never, nobody spans. The most that I find, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always an isolated case where you get somebody who freaks out. But if you're doing it the way that I'm telling, if you're being honest, if you're being genuine, if you're being present and you're being non-sexual, the most that you're usually going to have to deal with is just that somebody doesn't respond. And if you know anything about the program that I put guys through, at the first stage, you're not supposed to get. I'm not doing this so that you can get a response back. So and let me explain. The anxiety comes from the fact that you think somebody's going to blow up or somebody's going to be offended. They're just not going to be offended. The most you're going to get is somebody will ignore you. And if you're not trying to get the number, then you A+. Understand this too. When you have low self-esteem and someone doesn't respond to you the way you want, your first thing is to go, hey, I'm not handsome enough, or I'm not in shape enough, or I don't make enough. Like, we internalize the rejection when the reality is that the rejection itself it can have not, I'm not saying it can't be that you're not in shape enough or you're not in shape, but I'm saying there could be a million other things that it could be. Her cat could have died earlier today. She could have just lost her job. She could have her period. She could have just found out that her grandmother is terminal. Like, there's a million other things that it could be that would have caused this woman to not respond in a favorable way. But because of our own personal insecurity, we make it about us. And I'm not saying it's not necessarily, it could be us, but it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely. It's almost like you think you're too important. that you have this ability to just destroy somebody's life with a comment. You just don't. And if you're paying a compliment out of an honest presence that's non-sexual, and you're being honest, then you're just not going to get that anyway, Francisco. But I mean, if you're having a problem, you know how to get me. You played yourself, said, what are you anxious about? Being ignored, being rejected, having a woman say something nasty to you. What's the worst case scenario? I feel like I've had a consultation with you. You played yourself, because that's exactly what they're saying. First of all, what you have to do is you have to learn. Laying the 5 bricks on the first phase is just for you to learn to communicate without being transactional. That you're not saying hello simply because I want to get a number, because I want to have sex, or because you're just learning to be social. And you got to start somewhere. And you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to be good at it until you take time. Being ignored, you are going to get ignored. You have not created a rapport. She has no vested interest. But what we're doing is just by going this, all you have to do is focus on the task. If you're talking about being ignored, nobody told you to get her. On the first phase, I'm not telling you to get her attention. I'm not telling you to get her number. I'm not even telling you that you have to get a response back. All I need you to do is just do the first stage. Let's get that, and then we'll move on. Stop trying to put the cart before the horse, because that's always going to screw you up. Yeah, most of the time, the loudest dude in the room. Do I have any advice on talking or approaching studs? Doug, I mean, studs in general, I don't know. I think you got this little thing for studs. Look, I think if you're an honest, I can't tell you how many studs I know that I'll be hanging out with, like cornrows and sports bra, and they be like, yo, I'm hanging out. Yo, what up? You good? We good? Blah, 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 blah. Yo, I gotta go. Where you going? Oh, I'm going to pick up my daughter. What? Your daughter? So understand this, just because her preference is whatever, doesn't mean she's not down. I've seen plenty of studs who on the slide, don't mind sliding somebody a little slice. I'm not even gonna mention the name, but I remember, that, but it was a stud I know personally, is a kind of a famous stud, and she got some big ass titties, huge McGuffies, and will let you beat, but say, yo, you better not tell nobody. I think the approach is the same. At the core, a woman is going to be a woman. We talk about gender being a spectrum. There's a difference between Richard Simmons, who is a man, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. There's always a spectrum. There's a difference between, Beyonce and Roseanne. Not Roseanne. Roseanne, or even Whoopi Goldberg. We have to understand that. But at the core, human beings respond in the same ways, and they always will be. Let me put the phone lines up real quick. Wait, I'm going through these things. You excuse me, bro. Let me get your back. Yo, it's mad fine bitches up in here. Whatever. I just think you gotta go at them the same way you would go. Just be honest. And what the attraction is gonna build from a stud based on the fact that you have a communication with her and you build a bond. It just takes a little more time, because they're resisting the transaction, if that makes sense. What's the best way to attract women? A woman, meaning how should I carry myself in a way to appeal to women? The first thing, Chandler, that's a good question, but it's such a huge question. First thing is that you have to laying the 5 bricks is the first step, because you have to get past the fear. If fear is present, you're never going to be able to operate on a level that makes you proficient enough to access your particular charm and your ability, how interesting you could be if you have fear. It's just like anything else. When we are dealing with fear, we can't operate at our optimum pace or our optimum level. So you got to lay the 5 bricks. But but these are things that you learn in small increments. Like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. There are simple things that you got to do, but you have to make these things through practice. They become innate, and then you're not thinking about it, and it happens all the time. I'll be in a conversation with a woman, and you just always, there's always a situation where I just will know what to say, what goes with what. And the only way you do that is through practice. And the only way you practice that is you have to practice that by being social, by laying the 5 bricks where you're having these interactions. Ziggy Bronco says, let me see, his phone lines is up. If y'all want me to talk about this stuff, y'all can also call in. The phone lines is on. I'm afraid I'm falling into the category of men who reject the notion of dating and focusing on fixing oneself. Don't get me wrong, I still love it, and I'm gratefully internally for each one. Here's the thing, Ziggy. This is the thing where we're talking about life. Life is time is the commodity. Life is finite, right? So what I'm saying is there's things that you can focus on and give more energy to than other things. But let's be honest, you're not always spending every minute of your life fixing yourself. If you were spending that much of an intense time fixing yourself, then you would be fixed already. So we got to be honest about that. The reality of this is that we're in a situation where you want to hold off on the other stuff out of fear for the fact of failure that you might have by actually dealing
To
with
accept, press 1. To
dealing whatever comes to you. What's your name? Where you calling from, family?
God, it's me, Gandhi, and I'm calling from Vegas.
This is who?
Gandhi.
What up, Gandhi? What's going on?
I'm doing all right. You know, I remember our call earlier. You've been telling me to do the 5 women a day. But doing it, I know Halloween's coming up, and I'm like, man, how should I play this?
What?
I'm trying to go to the parties and something, and like,
you got to speak up, family. You got to speak up, okay?
Oh, all right, I'll speak a little louder. No, you know, Halloween's coming up, and I'm asking if there's any advice, any particular thing that I could be doing better. I know I'm only in the stage 1 of things, but
then just do
nice.
phase 1. Here's the thing. Look, you got to understand something. I'm not out there with you in the field, right? So I don't know how good you're doing it or how you're not going to do it. But what I'm saying is I am very explicit about what the procedure is. And what I'm saying to you is, so how long have you been laying the 5 bricks?
Ever since I called. So I think it's almost been a month now.
All right. So, I mean, what do you find? Let me ask you this. What do you find different?
From then to now?
Yeah.
Well, I started realizing my mistakes on my compliments, like, or you know, try to be more intricate with them, because sometimes I'll just be dry with the compliment. I'm like, that compliment was just boring. It was nothing.
Okay.
Or sometimes I've noticed where I would walk away too fast from, like, after, like, oh, have a great day, and then I can.
Right, you didn't even give her a chance to respond. But honestly, I don't mind that initially because of the fact that that's where your head is at. One of the big whole incel movement, the fresh and fit, all of the reason why there's so many guys that are looking for this help is because they get. So there's something I've said on this channel. I said fear is fear grows within the, and when the opportunity is presented and how long you take to access the opportunity. So for instance, if you like, I'll give you an instance. If you're laying the 5 bricks, right? And and you hesitate, the longer you hesitate, right?
I've noticed it.
The more the fear builds, and then ultimately, if you wait too long, then you can't even move. You know, like you literally, and then you will literally fool yourself. Your brain will twist and turn and find a way for you not to lay the 5 bricks. Whereas that if you just get out there and do it, right? We're not even talking about you don't even have to do it well. You can do it. You can do it. Just doing it is something. One of the things I say, anytime I hear somebody, yo, I'm working on, like Ali says, I'm working on my 5 a day. That's bullshit, Ali. He's in a consultation. The point is you're either doing it or you're not doing it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're either, like for instance, if a kid is, you got a little kid and the kid is trying to walk, right? If the kid is crawling, is that walking?
No, he's crawling.
If the kid is sitting, is that walking? No.
No, he's sitting.
The kid is standing up, holding on to the bed or holding on to the table, right? Is the kid walking? No. The kid is not walking. A child is not walking until it takes the step and it lets go of whatever's holding them up, right? Now that child may take one step and fall, which would mean that they're horrible at walking, right? But understand something. You're supposed to be horrible. Like nobody is supposed to be. Nobody's gonna be good at something right out the gate. There are some times when people have a knack for things, but overall you're gonna suck at it, and you got to be comfortable with sucking at it. Because I guarantee you've been doing this a month, right?
I even got like one number. I went out with a girl.
Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ali. I didn't tell you to get a number.
Yeah, you did it, and it just happened.
Okay, so but what I'm saying, I told you. In fact, I specifically told you not to get a number, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the reason why,
me
because now here's what happens: you get a number, and it happens accidentally, right? Now this is the standard that you think, oh, I can get a number. Right? So then you forget about what the fundamentals of what I'm trying to teach you in the first place.
No, I still kept doing just the 5 compliments. I've been headstrong with that right now.
Okay, let me ask you this. I feel like you're not getting 5 in a day. Am I true in that assumption?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want to say something to you. Before you give me the excuses, because I don't even want the excuses. This is your journey, right? This is your journey, and if you don't do it, the only person that is hurt by that is you, right? Understand this. You've gotten a number, right? So now you understand what the capability is. So then you don't even, but you haven't even done on a base level what I've asked you to do. There's no way that you're going to be successful at this. You are going to hit a wall because you're not doing it the way that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't say get a number. In fact, I said don't get a number. Secondly, I didn't say that you're supposed to get a response back. I didn't say any. I just said I need you to pay the compliments, and then when you're done, set up a consultation and hit me back, and then we will go over it. And because there's a reason why I do it in small increments. Because if you bite off more than you could chew and you choke, then what happens? Your ego comes in because you're not now your expectation is, oh, I can get a number. Now once your ego is in place, now it's like, oh, I could do it, and then the negativity seeps in, and then you stop laying the 5 bricks. So there's a specific reason why I'm telling you to do things the way that I'm telling you to do it. And if you do it different, I guarantee you're gonna hit a wall, and it's gonna fuck up.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
All right.
I am doing the 5. That there's a couple days where I only saw 4.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. Where do you live?
I live in Vegas,
Yeah,
like in
there's
the
no way you
rural
could
part.
tell me you didn't come across 5 women in the course of a day in Las Vegas.
Other than me being at work, no. I would go out, and it's already, by the time I get off work, it's already night. So I try to go to Target that's nearby. I know there's somebody over there, so that's where I always end up doing it. And then I try to go out for a little
Stop.
bit.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you were going to the Olympics in weightlifting, right? In powerlifting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell if this is your goal, you wouldn't tell me, hey, I didn't get a chance to work out today. You doing that only creates space between what you want to achieve and what you say you want and what you don't have. So there's just no excuse for it. So on a base level, you're asking me what's the next step when you haven't even done the first step. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
And then when it crashes and burns, then you're going to go back into your shell and you're not going to do it at all. Just do what I tell you to do on the first step. Just trust me. If I ain't shit afterwards, then you could call me up and curse me out. But there's a I didn't.
Never, I would never.
There's a reason why. There's a method to my madness. Okay.
Yeah. I just hope, maybe because, holidays are coming up, maybe I can do something more.
No,
but you're right.
no.
I shouldn't.
I don't give a fuck about the holiday. How many holidays have you gone and not had this game? Now all of a sudden it's holidays. Now I don't give a fuck about your holiday. I don't give a fuck about what your optimism. Just stay on the path, and I promise you'll get to the promised land. I promise. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Later. Phone lines are open, 929-269-4922. This really frustrates me because it's like everybody's trying to like freestyle. You don't even know how to rap yet. How you freestyling? It's like, what are we doing? Anthony A-List in the building, Kenny B in the building, shout out. Let's see. Carl Valson, what up? Jay, what's popping? Logan Scott, what the deal? Billy Flick, what's going on? Let me see. Compliment the manager. Shit, you might have a compliment a dude if you don't see women. 5 bricks is 5 bricks. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, we got another call. Hold on, let me get into this. Man.
Selena.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
What's up? Where you calling from?
Yo, Dante, it's Selena from Atlanta.
It's Bright. Say again?
It's Selena from Atlanta.
What up, Slee? What's going on?
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up?
So, I just had an instance where the girl who I'm talking to right now, she started acting a little funny. The other night we were hanging out, and I walked over to her car, and we're about to go on break for the winter, and she said she had been. I could tell when she wants to say something, and she's trying to move into it. She said, "I just don't know what's gonna happen," and I was like, "Okay." And
what do you mean? I don't know what's gonna happen?
She had asked me before, and she was like, "Do you feel like there's times where I don't tell you certain things?" And I was like, "I mean, no." And she was like, "I was like, what makes you ask that?" And she said, "I just don't know what's gonna happen." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go back upstairs and do work." And she was like, "No, wait, let's talk about it." I was like, "No, you go get some sleep. I'm gonna go back upstairs," because I could tell she was trying to she wanted to have a conversation, but she wanted me to
Right. She wants you to
initiate it.
initiate it, right? And you didn't. So now, just so you know, this is my man Salino. Shout out Salino. Salino's been training with me for a while, and so it's interesting how to watch him evolve. So it's like I just don't know what's going to happen, which is the opening line to go. Oh, and then go, what do you, now as the guy, I'm going, what do you mean? And then she goes, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I'm thinking a lot of things on my mind. And then you got to spend an hour trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Right.
Yeah.
The bait is like the bait and switch, right?
Yeah.
Hold up. Dave, what's going on? Thank you for the cash app, bro. $20. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. The whole thing is interesting because when you're in a situation where you're literally going, you start to anticipate the game that people have. Like the people have game, and this is like she wants you to pull it out of her. And the bottom line is, as she wants to pull it out of you, you just not playing that game forces her hand. No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about no, let's not. Like if you got something, oh man, oh, gosh. So what happens? And so what ultimately did she talk to you about what she had to talk to you about, or no? Or did you just keep it moving?
I kept moving. I was like, listen, it's late. It was late. I was like, I'm gonna go back upstairs. I'm gonna do work. She
right.
goes, no, because I'm gonna think about it. I'm an overthinker. I'm gonna think about it. I was like, well, just think then. I'll see you. I love you and have a good night. And then I just walked back. And then some time passed. I went back to my dorm. She sent me this long text saying that she loves me. She doesn't know how to express it sometimes. And I didn't respond. But I saw her the next day, and I said, just business as usual. Asked her how her day went. The same, wasn't acting weird or nothing.
Right.
And I texted her later saying, hey, why don't you come over later and let's talk.
Right.
So she comes over, and I'm like asking her how her day was. We talked, and I was like, listen, about the text you sent, you don't need to worry.
Now let me let you know what's going on. What's ultimately is that and I'm going to use this word without, and I don't mean it in the offensive way that it sounds. What you're doing is you're training her that if she has something to say, she has to get it out. That this passive aggressive nonsense that she's mostly accustomed to, I don't know how to put it on. Yeah, okay, well, you figure it out and then you hit me back. It's not unkind, but it's also not giving space for the nonsense that that women will give you because of the fact that that you'll tolerate it. And what ultimately does that builds a level of attraction because she has to take you seriously because you not foxing around in the sandbox with nonsense. Look, if you have something to say and there's something important to you or something that you need to talk about, I will make the time to talk to you about it. But I'm not going to read your mind and I'm not going to pull it like teeth. If you have something to say, then talk about what you got to say. And if you're not going to talk about it, I'm moving on because this is a waste of time. This is a self-indulgent kind of thing where it's a way of gaining attention, but not real necessary attention in order to get to know somebody or become more intimate with them or to get closer or to build love or to build kind of because you're dabbling in all this emotional baggage and these emotional tactics. And the minute you decide that you're not going to deal with it, it stops. Correct?
Yes. I told her, I said, listen, she said, I feel like, there'll be times where I'm not expecting it. You'll be really vulnerable with me, but then other times when I'm vulnerable with you, you don't receive it.
Let me say something. That is what I call being consistently inconsistent. If you don't never want somebody to get you want a woman to understand what your boundaries are and respect your boundaries, right? but you don't. She should not be able to predict your responses, especially unless it's, of course, what you're making clear about what you don't and what you do and what you don't like and what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. She should understand your non-negotiables, but other than that, you shouldn't be predictable. Okay?
Yes.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Always good to hear you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh yeah, so this is the study that I was talking about black fathers. It's the National Institute of Health, and at .gov says results of overall black non-resident fathers were significantly more likely to spend time engaging in activities with their children as compared to Hispanic and white fathers. White fathers, but not white fathers. Black fathers also shared the responsibilities more frequently and displayed more effective co-parenting than white fathers. So this is this myth of the single parented black. I mean, I understand there is a part truth of single parent and women and single parented homes and so on and so forth. A lot of that is economic, but even when there's a father not in the home, they still have the tendency to bathe, to read stories, to put their kids to bed, and so on, so more than anybody else. That's the study. You can look that up, and it's under the National Institute of Health.gov. So y'all can check that out if you want. I was talking about that last live, and I told him I would look up the study. So that was it. It's national. I said it already. You grazed over that name. You ain't low. Carl Valson. Is that right? Did I say your name right? If I didn't, I apologize, bro. I don't think I've heard consistently inconsistent in a while. Yeah, I know. There's so much stuff in my head, Anthony. I don't know. It comes around when it comes around. So phone lines are open 929-269-4922. We in the building. You got it. Jehoash Barnes. Let's get a call in. Let's see what we got here.
So, George.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's George.
What's going on, George? How can I help you, brother?
What's up, man? I always gotta just show some love when I can.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling. Anything going on? Or you good?
Yeah, man. I'm good right now. I'm gonna say I'm enjoying myself in the city, enjoying the single life.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing,
man. Yeah, and always making sure keep make sure I pay my Patreon dues every.
I appreciate it. Let me thank you for thank you, George. Thank you for reminding me on that too. The Patreon is so just so we know just what he's talking about. We have a Patreon. The Patreon is patreon.com/manschool202. We do like extra content. We go a little deeper on the technique and stuff like that. It's the bonus content, but it's one of the ways that one of the best ways to kind of help us support the show and to keep the show going and keep the content up. So I appreciate you calling, George. Thanks for the love. All right.
Yeah. I was gonna say because y'all are uploading the old school. Like the archives, right?
Yeah. The archives, the old Beige Phillips stuff is going up. Harry's actually most of it is up, but there's a lot of the older stuff when we did a different format and people that I interviewed and different celebrities and stuff that I've interviewed and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting. You get all the background content with the Patreon. And that's patreon.com. Patreon.com/manschool202. It's up on the thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like I'm listening to like 2015 shit, and that's when I started listening to y'all, right?
Right.
And I can say I've been listening to y'all ever since. And like I always say, this life-changing shit. That's when I did my 5 bricks. You know,
now you still
I'm like
still
throwing
do
out
the
my wins,
5
right?
bricks, yes?
Oh, definitely. Oh, like I'm with friends and they'll be like, you talk to people a lot, like in public.
Okay. Ziggy,
Yeah, no,
yes. Well, yeah, man. I mean, you got to continue. You got to continue to do it. You should never not do it. It's one of those things that you like. If you're a hunter, you always wanna. You always wanna. How should I put it? You always wanna keep your tools sharp. Okay.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wait, real quick, Ziggy.
No, I was gonna say,
Ziggy, I have the Venmo. I don't have the card, the QR code, but you can do a super chat if you need to, if you want to put some money in. Go ahead. I'm sorry, George. Go ahead.
No. I'm kind of like doing two. I'm kind of plugging the shit just because it's been life changing for me.
Yeah.
And then also kind of like sharing, you know, like I'm in that group where I don't got a dad.
Yeah.
You know, adult. You know, like you don't got nobody to like give some real
to
wisdom
bounce it
from.
off. Well, here's the thing too, George. Keep in mind, there's guys that have dads and their dads are not involved. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is kind of, it's even more difficult that you right by the oasis and you can't even drink or you can't. But Ziggy, I will put the Venmo QR code up the next time we're on. Oh, wait a minute, I might have it. No, I gotta put it up. But yeah, you can do Cash App if anything. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Also, what I find is a lot of the dudes on the Patreon, they kind of connect on the Patreon. And they send messages back, which is dope. It's also the quickest way to send me an email is through the Patreon. If you're in a funky place where you need some quick advice, because I'm always on that. So there's that. But George, thank you, man. Thank you. Keep plugging. Don't stop laying them bricks, all right?
No, definitely, man. I appreciate you.
All right, brother.
All right, Dante.
All right, I'll holler.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, I'll get that Venmo shit straightened out for next week. Yeah, so I just feel like a lot of these things it's funny, is like as you guys ask questions and as you guys challenge me, there's a lot of I'm trying to remember stuff that I'm trying to remember stuff that I forgot, that I'm already, I've already kind of moved on, and it's still solid information that I've given in the past. So I've given, I mean, that's the other thing about the Patreon. Like I give all the archive stuff, all the old stuff is there, all the content that we've been doing since, I mean, it's funny, it's weird. He says 2015. I mean, I remember when we were doing the podcast, just audio. So there's that. Phone lines are up. 929-269-4922. I'm gonna take one more call and then we gonna shut it down, y'all. I appreciate everybody calling in. Let me just y'all know what it is. The one-on-one consultations is at DanteNero.com. You can just click on consult. Y'all know the Cash App already is up. The Cash App and the PayPal are both there. The Patreon is here. Yes. Patreon is patreon.com/manschool202. And we're gonna Thursday we're not gonna be live. I probably will be live again, I think, next Tuesday. All right. So we'll be on a little hiatus, little vacation. And because I'll be out of town next weekend. And as soon as I come back, we'll be ready. I'll be nice and fresh. I go see my little man, and love him up and kiss him up and rough him up like I'm supposed to do. And I'll see y'all right after that. You feel me? I'm gonna give it a few more minutes to get a last phone call. If we can get the last phone call in, let me put the number up real quick. If not, we are gonna shut it down. It's 929-269-4922. I did want to cover something. Yeah. I just want to say when y'all guys are looking at all this content out there, right? There's a lot of false prophets, right? And if somebody is not asking you questions, one of the reasons why, I've said this before, one of the reasons why I don't have a online online course, which I'm working on it right now, but I feel like it has to be pointed in a direction where it can really do some good. I'm not trying to get into a situation where I'm just taking somebody's money, and then what I would like to have my online course would be a basic fundamental line of where to start from, basic fundamental, and what those explanations are for the reason why the laying the 5 bricks and the phases and so on and so forth. But ultimately, this is something that you have to learn specifically to you, because everybody's situation is so clearly different, that you have to have one-on-one. I remember my crazy nephew, he was trying to learn how to sing, and he was doing it by Zoom, where you can't really learn, because you got to have, when you take vocal lessons, you got to have somebody has to be hands-on. Now, I mean, I don't have to be hands-on, but you being aware of what those mistakes are, so that you don't allow somebody to make the wrong mistakes, and then those mistakes become habitual, and then you can't break those mistakes.
To accept.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, what up, Dante? This Fap from AZ.
What up going on? How can I help you, killer? What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm going to just keep it quick, man. Just a quick question. Like, what would you say is the best way for somebody to start building their self-confidence up? You know, like, say they're like from ground zero and they don't have no self-confidence.
Well, so let me ask you this first. What would you say? Is this, are you speaking for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Why do you think you don't have self-confidence? Have you ever thought about that?
Man, I'd say just based on like how relationships have gone in the past, and then just probably just my interactions with women and stuff like that. I mean, not that I have a whole bunch of me, actually pursuing, but just I would just say based on that.
Okay, so have you had a lot of failures in the past?
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so then your low self-esteem is based on what? If it's not based on that, like, you're already kind of saying to me in essence that your self-esteem is not based in truth. Because if you haven't had a lot of interactions, you don't know if you're good at it. And to be honest, I can be honest with you, if you haven't had a lot of interactions, you're probably not going to be good at it, because it is unreasonable for you to it's unreasonable for you to expect to be good at something when you've had no training and no practice. Is that fair enough?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's that. But the other thing is, what's in the background? I hear something in the background. Is that you?
Nah, it shouldn't be none.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Like?
Ace, when I talk about Ace in general, right? Whenever I talk about Ace, or God, I hear something in the background. Let me see. When we talk about Ace in general, right? Authenticity, credibility, and empathy, right? Anytime that I've asked somebody, how many people do you know tell the truth, keep their word, and have empathy for other people? And moreover than not, people get a long pause, and then what happens is they even if they can come up with somebody who practices one of those techniques or one of those kind of qualities, they don't practice all of them, right? Because there's such a rarity that you find somebody who tells the truth and keeps his word, much less somebody who tells the truth and keeps his word and has empathy, if that makes sense. So just practicing the principles builds your self-esteem, because if you are acting in those ways, you're better than 90% of the people out there.
Right.
Simply because you yourself don't know people who are honest, and people who are people who are honest, or people who are you know, people who are credible, keep their word.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the volume on in the background? Is that what's going on?
The volume? Nah, no volume.
Shit, I hear something in the background that's driving me crazy. Anyway, but practicing those principles is where the confidence starts, because once you can say that I'm a guy who tells the truth, I'm the guy who keeps my word, and I'm the guy who is empathetic enough to see where other people are coming from, your self-esteem automatically builds, because who's better than you? You know, you may find people, to me, if somebody is acting in that way, there may be people as good as you, but there's nobody better. I don't think you can be a better human being if you practice those principles. You feel me? So doing that. Now, doing that is a lot more complicated than you think. And which is, I mean, because it's not just honesty with other people, it's honesty with yourself. It's honesty even with your recognition of your own conscience. Like what I was talking about earlier is that when you start to search your thoughts and you have this inner dialogue about what direction you want to go in, you got to be honest with yourself. And a lot of times that is difficult to do. And then also you have to be able to remove the emotion, because if the emotion is in it, then you're not going to have the self-awareness to be honest with yourself. But I mean, if you just start off just telling the truth, showing up when you say you're going to show up, doing what you say, that's what builds the self-esteem. That's the whole purpose of the principles in the first place, because it's a rare thing. It's anything, if you understand basic business is supply and demand, something that is rare has the most value, because it's just due to scarcity. The value exists because of the scarcity. So if you're a guy, if you can't think of anybody in your life that tells the truth all the time and keeps his word, right? You being that guy makes you special. You feel me? And it's not attached to your height or your looks or anything. It is directly attached to your discipline and the decisions you make, so that you can start to feel good about who you are as a person. Make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, it does make sense. And I mean, personally, I mean, I feel like I do hold my word as far as, like, you know, showing up when I say I'm supposed to show up, you know, holding myself accountable and things like that. It's just when it comes to like just the women aspect, I feel like I haven't had that much experience in it.
Yeah, but that shouldn't diminish your self-esteem. You can't expect to be good at something that you didn't have no practice. And here's the other thing, dog. If you know what I'm saying, I always say this, dog. I'm here, man. I mean, the information is out there. I got a bunch of information. I have a bunch of clips and stuff online. And if a push comes to shove, you can always do the one-on-one consultation, and we'll dig into exactly where this self-esteem comes from, where that thought came from, because that thought had to come from somewhere. When you look at a brand new baby, or you look at a kid, that the fear and that stuff, fear and lack of confidence, it comes from, it's a learned response. It's not something that we're born with, you know. And sometimes you need somebody to dig into that and kind of, are you laying the 5 bricks or no?
I wouldn't say I'm laying them. I wouldn't say
that's a no. That's a no. The explanations on this. That's a no.
Like
so here's the thing: you're asking me a question, and you're not even taking responsibility for the fundamental stuff that I'm giving it away for free.
Right.
Nah, and you're not even taking the responsibility for it. So, you know, which says something about the fact that I'm giving it for free, and you won't take advantage of it. The question is, then we need to ask why that is. And that may be something way deeper than you understand. But we can fix it, dog. Just hit me, book a session, and we'll thrash it out, okay?
All right, cool.
All right, family.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Let me see real quick. Let me shout out to everybody. Everybody thank you, Shaheed. On the Cash App, No Bap, thank you. Xavier, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Carlos, thank you again. Bob, thank you. Reno, thank you so much. All the people that hit me up in the Cash App, I really appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Thank you. We're gonna get back in it. I'll put a post up when the next live is gonna be. I'm going to see my little man. So y'all stay tight. Everybody, Lady 5 Bricks. Authenticity, credibility, empathy. GYBB, get your boss back. WWDD, what would Dante do? The sexual revolution being podcasted. Yo, peace. Love y'all, man.